What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 35 of Meet the Critters. It's me, Kyle Peralt, and we got Joe Blakeslee over there, and we have another guest on the show.
This is my brother Josh, so hopefully we got a bunch of viewers today. Get them in the loop of things. Oh,
perfect. We got a bunch of people already in. Fantastic. So, Josh,
yeah,
we appreciate you coming on.
What's that?
We appreciate you coming on.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. So, besides being Joe's brother, who's Josh?
Well, I'm 29 years old, so I'm still young and lively. So have no complaints in that realm.
That doesn't last. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, basically my career is starting out in the culinary world and kind of transitioned myself over to the butcher shop world. Always had to get my hands in on cooking and dealing with ingredients, mostly fresh as much as possible, and kind of riding out that storm.
Yeah. Now, when you were in culinary school, did you have like any butchering classes in that?
We had a meat cutting class that was there, but it was never really in depth into the butcher aspect of it. We never really learned how to break down an animal. We had like one short lesson to where a local butcher shop guy came in and he showed us break it down one time. But other than that, it was always just buying in core cuts and then seeing what we could get out of those core cuts. It was never actually breaking down a full animal.
Right.
I think the guy that Josh trained with at the actual restaurant, he learned under the head chef that was there in the restaurant he started in. He now teaches at the college that Josh went to. I actually seen him the other day. Nice. And I think he's getting into more of some butchering type stuff, he was telling me, with the kids, trying to get them, the horizons open for them in that aspect.
Well, I think, because I've had this conversation before, I think it's hard to teach real butchering at a college level, because it's not that type of environment. I guess the way colleges are today. I think you need to learn to cut meat from a dude that really doesn't want to teach you because he's already overworked as he is, and you're just in it. I think that's the best way. I'm not saying again, I know people that have taken meat courses and stuff like that. And it's they're doing the same job I'm doing, but it's I feel like the best way is to come up with the metaphorical sawdust on the floor kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely you definitely need more practice with it. You can't just go in, take one class and expect to know how to break down the whole animal. You definitely need several weeks and several months of cutting stuff down to be able to actually know where everything is and getting a speed for it.
Yeah.
Getting actually comfortable with it.
I always joke about that where it's I had somebody comment on a TikTok live one day. I was deboning a chuck, and I was deboning the neck. They're holy crap, you were fast at that. And I was yeah, that's because I was really, really bad at chucks. And for 8 months, all they did was throw me chucks. And that's, I cut chucks every day for 8 months. And now I'm good at it. That's how you get good at butchering. It's the muscle memory. It's just keeping that ball rolling.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they did with me and Josh too. They give you one thing, you got pretty decent at it, and then they'd give you something else to focus on, but then you'd keep doing that other thing and just slowly built up until you learned all the cuts and stuff. And same thing with tying roast. I don't know. Yeah. Did you do any of that with the culinary stuff?
Yeah, culinary. We definitely did tie up a lot of roasts. And we tie different in culinary than what the butcher knot was,
right.
But it all worked the same. It's actually faster. I could actually tie a roast faster now than I was in culinary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always joke that that's one of the most aggressive butchering muscle memories is tying, because it's when you get in the zone. I remember back when I was doing retail and it was Christmas and all you're doing is tying rib roasts, 22 cases of ribeyes. It's by the end of it, you just have calluses on your hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think when they started me tying, the guy that taught me, he's left-handed. So I tie reverse of most other butchers.
Right.
And that's just the way I was taught. I taught myself how to do the other way. But I always revert back to the original way I was taught. It's funny because I think me and you had talked about it before. Instead of cinching down on the knot, I cinch up.
Just right. We have talked about that, and I called you weird.
Yeah, and it gets the same results. It looks good, so I'm not going to complain.
It's not right. It's not natural.
Yeah, I think it was one whole day, and they're like, "Well, you learn pretty quick." But I ran out of stuff to tie, so we were cutting slabs of jerky out of bottom and top round. Yeah. So they just gave me some slabs, and they're like, "Just stay there and tie these. That's all you're doing the rest of the afternoon. Just tie it, cut it apart, tie it again, cut it apart until you get better at it, and then just being repetitive with it, I think, is a lot. I think the worst thing I did, like any kind of skill all the way through in the butchering process, was skinning pigs. I absolutely hated skinning pigs. I got frustrated every week, and I dreaded it, but I stayed at the skinning cradle, and I just kept at it until finally I got comfortable and better. And when I started skinning pigs, I was still learning how to properly sharpen a knife, so the two did not go
no. You need to be either an expert you need to be an expert at one to be an expert at the other, for sure. Especially if you hit a tooth first pig in.
Yep.
Oh,
beef. And I was learning how to skin beef heads out too at the same time. So, and we obviously you do your beef before your pork on a USDA kill floor. So skinning heads is one of the first things you're doing first thing in the morning. You hit a tooth, you might as well just give up and go resharpen your knife, because you just screwed yourself for the rest of the day.
The rest of the day. So Josh, did you start on slaughter or did you go right into the cut run?
No, Joe gave me a call and said that they were looking for a guy to help part-time. So when I was a chef at the restaurant, I would just come the 1 day a week for slaughter. And I probably did that for 6 to 8 months or so until COVID had hit, and then the restaurant shut down for 2 weeks. And I went and worked at the butcher shop for 2 weeks. And by the end of those 2 weeks, and they wanted me to go back to the restaurant, they had offered me full-time at the butcher shop. And I ended up staying at the butcher shop full-time.
It's the best. It just gets its teeth into you. It really does.
But it was kind of better that way too, because the restaurants, I don't even think they opened up after 2 weeks. I think it was just like 1 day here and there. And it was really, here in New York, they're really strict about stuff with the COVID. So it just worked out that way. And, it got them off of the crazy nights and weekend schedule and all over the place. He was head chef at one of our, two of our local restaurants. And he was sous chef
and a baking chef at another one.
Yep.
Do you miss the rush of prime time at a restaurant though?
Oh yeah, I had a blast. Get my ass kicked for those few hours. It was always so much fun. And you could definitely tell how people react in a situation like that. You being later and you start breaking down, getting pissed off, then everything falls around you. But if you just make it seem like, even though you're getting your ass kicked and you're having a great time, everyone has a great time around you, then it makes the night at the end of it turn out good.
Yeah.
Don't let him fool you. He called me when I had the robotics business, and I was, there was times where I was home for a month and a half.
Hi, Dad and Uncle Josh.
But there was time, he called me and he's like, "Hey, I think it was Easter, right?" Yeah, it was Easter.
Easter or Mother's Day, one of the two.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Easter. And he goes, "Can you do me a favor and come down here and do dishes?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything." So I went down, and I was in the pots and pans pit for fucking 9 hours straight, and I never left. I didn't take a piss break. I didn't get a drink, nothing. And I was like, and you can tell when he gets in his high stress mode, because I've seen him just start winging shit across the kitchen. And I'd be like, I'm over there chuckling because, I'm used to it. He's my brother. But there was a couple times I'm over there laughing, and then one of the other dishwashers started saying something to him. And he's like, F you guys. And he's like, "I'm not cooking you guys food tonight." And I'm like, holy shit. I said, "He's taking my dinner away." I'm telling the other guy, shut up. I was like, "Don't get my food taken away from me."
Right. Yeah. The custom shop the retail shop I worked at, we had a kitchen too. So we had the normal sandwiches, salads, hot food, stuff like that. But during the summer, just running back and forth of that steak tip line, just bagging steak tips all day. There's 3 people deep. Oh, my employees hated me. Because I was just running up and down like I was on crack. Like and it wasn't like a polite, like, hi, how can I help you? I was like, all right, who's next? Like yelling, pointing at people, like, what are you getting? But I also worked the kitchen too, like one night a week, because why not? Like I needed beer money. And that rush of like just being on the line and just tickets are coming, and you're like, God damn it. Like, what is happening? But by the end of it, you go out and smoke a cigarette and you're like, that was great. I needed that today.
Oh yeah, definitely a night and day difference going from the high stress restaurant to easygoing butcher shop. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Keep training yourself, Logan. When you come back to New York, we'll talk something out.
Feel like a big boy. There is something about like, because I'll have new people come and help or like participate in it in some way or another. And the feeling that like people get, because I remember it, like that's why I'm still in it, of like when you like do something for the first time, when you skin out an animal for the first time, or like start breaking down primals, like even at that stage, pulling out of a plastic bag and breaking down primals, it just bites you. And there's something, you just get this feeling of like, wow, I like really did something. Like that's okay. That's a different feeling. Because if you look at the way most people get their food now, it's either out of a bag or off the shelf or something like that. It's so disconnected. So it's now when those people come back to it, like evolutionarily, of just like, oh, wow, like that's a steak that I'd buy off a shelf. It's like, yeah, it used
That's
to be
how I was when I first started. You know, like I watched the bearded butchers. I started teaching myself how to butcher before I got into the butcher shop, but I still don't have a good understanding of a full kill all the way through till the finished product. And when I first started there, and I, just learning out, but once I started running saw and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I killed this animal, because I was actually getting into the shooting stage and I was doing everything on the kill floor. And you get to that stage where you're like, I seen this animal walk in, and I'm seeing this animal go out to the storefront, and this really nice looking steak, or, whatever it may be, different cuts, nice, neatly tied roast with the knots all perfect in a line. It's an awesome feeling knowing that you put that product out there from start to finish, and knowing, that you put your whole effort into it, and you learn that and everything. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing to cut right now?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I like doing ribeyes. I mean, they're pretty easy, pretty fun. You get some of the best meat out of that section.
Oh yeah. And there's something I always enjoy about just pulling, because I pull everything off the hook, now I don't. Now I do everything in sixths. But like when we breaking a whole beef off the rail, and you just walk up and you grab that whole rib plate like a suitcase, you're just like shink, and you just walk back to your bench. Like there's something I always found funny about that one.
Yeah, so where Josh currently works and the way I do it right now, because I have to do it in halves, obviously, get it in the reefer trailer that I'm using, or quarters. So I was thinking about it today. Like, I mean, some of these beef I'm doing they're massive.
Yeah.
Like 1,000 pound, 900 pound. I just started cutting one up today that I did a small one today. And then I started the front quarter of the bigger one. He's just under 900 pounds. Mm-hmm. And it's not small chunks of meat, especially for me. I'm like, I don't have the infrastructure. Like, yeah, I have it easier than you. You're manhandling everything off the kill floor, into the cooler, out of the cooler. But I don't have anything close to the saw, so I'm still in that figuring it out, how I'm going to get that whole leg and chuck and arm and neck section up onto the saw to get it broke down, because that's how we were taught. Like, you break everything down on the saw instead of by hand. So I'm thinking about, I'm going to start doing it by hand when I get my new saw blades in, just to make it easier on me. I'm not trying to lift, because those breaking the
chuck off the rail is so much easier, because that's how I learned. I learned to, five ribs up, and the top rib about 4 inches, and then connect it down right at the neck, and you can pop that whole chuck right off, pop the shoulder blade right around, right at that joint, and all you walk over to the bench with is just the chuck and neck.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. But yeah, I mean, you're a tiny human. We can't ask that much of you.
I'm a small guy.
Vertically challenged. It's a
Hey,
problem.
I lost a bunch of weight recently. I'm 162 or 63 pounds, and I'm manhandling like quarters off of a 900-pound beef.
I'm going to be able to like pick you up when I see you. Like, I'm just going to grab you under the armpits and just lift you to my level. Be like, this is what
if
it's
I
like
end up
here.
coming down to Kentucky with you in March.
Are you?
We're gonna have to have the same. We're gonna have to have same shirts and everything. It'll be
Yes.
like mini me.
Oh, it's gonna be perfect.
I have to dress up as a baby then.
Yeah, he's even smaller than I am.
Oh God. Yeah.
I'm like at 138, 140.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know, because I mean, because I'm 6'4", but I'm still only like, I think the last time I weighed myself, I was 198. So I look at myself, I'm like, man, I'm kind of small. Then I'm like, never mind, that's fine.
Hey, us small guys have some advantages too. We could walk through doorways and not smack our head.
Yeah, you just do this. That's fine. Yeah, I need to come up with better options for moving beef around.
Yeah,
because again, I am. I'm just carrying 175-pound hindquarters from the tractor to the cooler.
Yeah,
it's always a good time.
Yeah, I was watching that and I'm like, how big are your beef averaging right now? Usually,
mine are small up here. They're around.
You get a lot of dairy crosses.
Yeah, I get a lot of dairy crosses. They're about 650, 650-ish. I would consider average, 650 to 600.
Yeah, I did that.
The one, it was smaller. She was born with no back feet.
I don't know who he's talking about. Nathan Miller, geez, brother, you need to get some weight on you. Eat a sandwich.
What's up, Nate?
I'm sorry. Did you just say it was born with no back feet?
Yeah, it had no feet. It was just like nubs. And I was already going down to his farm to do a steer. So he's like, hey, she's not gaining anymore. She's getting to the point where she can't walk. So I was like, yeah, I'll for him, I did it. And it was like 443-pound hang weight. It had nice marbling because he feeds him corn silage and haylage. And, he's got good stock. It's just she couldn't get around anymore to keep gaining. Like
have a leg to stand on.
Would. But I did that thing today, and I'm like, this is so much nicer than that 1,000-pound one I just did. Man, like
those 400-pounders make you feel like a goddamn superhero.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're like, I can do this in 4 hours. Done. Here we go. Let me just throw this across the room.
Yeah. That's how it was. Like I started cutting at around 11.
Yeah.
And I did that whole beef, had it all vacuum sealed. I didn't do the grind today. I was trying to get enough of it to make my, time worth it. And then I went over to I think it's like 890-pound beef. I'm like, this fucking sucks. Especially once we get the rest of our infrastructure in, it'll be a lot nicer. We'll have, I'm going to have the 2 coolers that just everything flows. It's going to come out into the cutting room, and I'll reposition my cutting room so it comes right up. The rail comes up, and I might end up doing a small hoist, kind of like you have in your shop,
right?
But to pick up the front quarters and stuff right off the rail. Set everything on the saw. So my lovely wife with her dirty mind.
I'm bringing it up now. That's fantastic. Joe's wife says, I don't have any complaints on Joe's size.
She knows it's not about the size. It's about how you use it.
Oh, God. So do you find a lot of similarities between like what you did learn at culinary school and butchering? Like, did anything cross over?
Very little.
Yeah.
I'd say like what I learned in culinary was more based on how to cook the cuts of meat, not really breaking them down in a sense. Like at the restaurant, we get in a whole chunk of boneless chuck in, and that's all I'd have to do is slice big ass slabs of it, sear it off, and then braise it for pot roast.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't have to bone it out or anything really at the restaurant.
Because what I was thinking is like, it's tough to teach someone to work in like a line, like whether it's in the kitchen or you're working with a line of butchers where it's like you're each doing your same job, but you're each working together at the same time kind of thing. It's tough to teach that. And it's like you're already having that coming out of like the culinary mindset is like, that's invaluable because we've all worked with those people that it's like they just can't get the rhythm of the room.
Yeah, like where Josh currently works and I was at where I trained, I liked how they had it. Like they don't do the line thing. Everybody does everything.
Right.
So it's all fresh. Like we always rotated. After Josh came on full time, his first 6 or 8 months, that's all he did is trim carcasses and wash and take weights and stuff. But once he came on full time, then we're like, well, we're going to start training him for everything else. And so it worked like that. But everybody had that one thing they're really good at. So when you got in that flow in that spot where everybody was good in their one spot, it's like, and it was hard to keep doing the rotation because you get into a spot that you're not as comfortable in, or you're not as fast as one of the other guys. Like, the lead butcher there, he's been there since he was 19 and
27 years.
Yeah, 27 years. And I'm glad that I learned from him. He's an awesome guy. He's really good at what he does. And, like I was telling you, he's kind of like you. Like you remind me a lot of him. And I still talk to him to this day. We text and talk, but the way he taught, he was pretty easygoing for teaching. Like he's like, yeah, it doesn't look that good. Keep trying. Yeah. This is how I would do it. He wasn't like, oh, you screwed that up, you idiot.
There needs to be one of us in every cut room. There absolutely. If there's not, it's too nice. Everyone's too happy, and work doesn't progress the way it needs to. Everyone needs to be a little pissed off or dying laughing at some point during the day.
That was how it usually was dying laughing. We had such a good time. Like me and you have talked a million times. You get a good group of guys that can joke and have a good time around the cutting table.
So much.
It's not like, when you're by yourself, like I'm in that right now. I'm completely by myself.
Welcome to the goddamn club. Like I said, my job literally gave me a Wilson when I left, so I could talk to someone in the office, like in the shop, like because they knew they're like, oh, you're gonna be fucked. Like you don't have anyone to talk to. It's just you.
On the upside, I get a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, screw all you guys. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and talk to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing TikTok lives and stuff now too, so that's probably nicer.
Those get nuts. They really do. But it's like, again, I think one of them I had almost 40,000 people in.
That's crazy.
Like I gained like 400,000 followers in like 2 hours. It's like, what the hell? But you get the most like interaction. Like I like YouTube. YouTube's been picking up since we did the Opus thing, and we've been busting stuff through that. I've seen a huge jump.
Yeah, I haven't got much jump out of it. I'm still figuring out the shorts. I don't know what to freaking put in the tags, but
what for hashtags and stuff?
Yeah, I try to pay attention to what other people are putting in there.
I'll send you a list.
Yeah, I've been doing them. It's just I don't know what's going on with it.
It sucks. It's like I hate the fact that I know that. Like I hate the fact I even could say to you, I'll send you a list of hashtags to put on all your videos. Don't worry. Like I know what the kids are up to these days. Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, that TikTok presence really got you. Some of the stuff you've been adding in your videos and everything, that it's funny. I enjoy it. I don't think like that. Like I'm not, as I'm doing something, I'm so focused on what I'm doing. I'm not like, oh, I seen this clip. Yeah, yesterday. Me
and my wife literally had this conversation last night where like we were talking about something, and I was like, that would be so funny if that happened this way. Like just whatever scenario. think it was like a piece of ash fell like on something.
Mhm.
And she has a cross stitch that she's been working on for like a year and a half. And I was like, it'd be really funny if like you accidentally just dropped a piece of ash and the whole thing just went like a cartoon. And she goes, is that how your mind works? Like, you don't react to what's actually happening. You react to the imagination storyline that happened in your actual head. And I go, yes. Like, now you understand me. Like, it's taken 8 years of marriage, but now you get it. That when I say what, it's because I reacted to what you said, but in a completely alternate universe on how it would be funny. Like, your wife loves my TikToks.
She does. I'd be like, she'd be like, hey, look at Kyle's TikTok. I'm like, yeah, you already sent me that once. The joke's on you.
You get it first. You literally get them as they go up most of the time.
Well, I can't even get unless you directly send it to me.
Right.
Like, she's tried sharing them now, and TikTok must have a new thing where if you're not signed up for TikTok, you can't even watch them. Like, I used to be able to watch them one time, and then it would kick me out, but I can't even do that.
The Fast and the Furious one is my new favorite. I don't know if I'll ever be able to top that one. For those who don't know and who have never seen Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, there's a scene where he's like, let me see your car. And I clipped in a video of me drifting the tractor in slow motion because I have bald ass ag tires, and I was trying to move snow. So I just full on just drifted this thing around the driveway. It looked cool in slow motion, but I was just literally going nowhere. And I added the Japanese music to the back of it. It was hysterical. Should have been there, folks.
It was pretty funny.
So, Josh, are you crazy like us and also raise livestock in any way?
No, we have some chickens and ducks at the house. That's about it. But that's my girlfriend's stuff. I actually absolutely hate farm animals. They drive me nuts. I just
There's two types of people. There's two types of people in this.
But he is really big into gardening and stuff. He's really good at it. So the last couple of years we've been trying to like connect on if his garden does well, we can do some trades because I'm not great at gardening. I like gardening. It's just I never have the time to put into it with the livestock and now the business and kids and everything else. I just don't have the time. It always gets neglected. So I'm like, I'm not even going to waste my time. It's easier for me to just get some stuff from Josh and a couple of our friends do it. So I'd rather horse trade some stuff around and do, help each other out that way than try to convert time into putting into a garden that I know I'm going to leave and it's going to be grown up into weeds. And then I'm going to look at it at the end of summer and be like, that was a waste of fucking time.
I always just say I can't garden because my hands were created for death. So how big of a garden are we talking?
If you don't have life, you don't have death then.
Exactly.
They said the animals hate him too. It's mutual.
That's very true. This one time I come home and Joe said that he got me a couple dogs. So we walk out back and they weren't dogs whatsoever. They were miniature potbelly pigs. So I was like, all right, I'll take care of them and whatnot. And they used to follow me around like dogs. So I let them out every day. And one day finally one of them was getting into some chicken feed. So I told Joe, I was like, what do you want me to do? He's like, well, take it away from him. So I go down there, I took the feed away from him. Well, that pig turned into a straight up asshole after that. He came after me, bit me in the back of the knee, and after that, every time he seen me, he just wanted to kill me.
Yeah, literally, I'd let him out to roam around the yard, and I was like, I'd text him, be like, hey, can you put the pigs back in? Because he was working at the restaurant at the time, and he lived in his tiny house on the property he owns now. We co-owned it. He built a tiny house. We lived in the single wide, and I did the farm animals. He kind of did the gardening, and so I had these pigs. I texted him, hey, can you put the pigs in? He'd start cussing me out. So one day I was watching him out the back window and he's running, full blown running. And I had him in like a 6x10 dog kennel. That's what I kept him in initially with the hut. And he would run and he'd jump and grab the bar going across the door and he'd pull himself up and he'd run inside and he'd jump down and lock the gate behind him. Danae said that rooster the one time. That was funny.
Oh yeah, that thing. I was just minding my own business, walking around the yard with a beer in my hand, and this rooster decided to size me up and wanted to kick my ass. So I put my foot back, full blown, try to kick this thing. Well, I ended up kicking my leg out from myself, so I landed on the ground. This rooster starts attacking me, so I crunch up my beer, whip the beer at him, miss it then. He's still attacking me, and then Joe finally came down and saved
I was
me.
laughing so hard. I started laughing. I'm like, I really should video this, but I should really go down there before he
help him.
What? Yeah, he's down on the ground. He's like kicking and throwing his hands, and that rooster just keeps attacking him.
Oh yeah,
and yeah, that was part of that group of mean roosters I was telling you about. The neighbor's kid, they came up because they loved the animals, so they lived up in Buffalo, super nice people, and they just come over and I didn't care because I knew they weren't messing with anything. Come over and pet the goats and see the rabbits and stuff. Well, the roosters started attacking the kids, and I went over. I seen they were out one night, and I came home from work, so I went down to have a beer with them, sit by the fire. And he goes, "Hey, did my lawyer get a hold of you?" I'm like, "For what?" He goes, "Those damn roosters attacked my daughter and stole her flip-flops." I was like, "All right, I'll take care of them in the morning." So bright and early, I caught all those roosters. They lived in a tree. I didn't have a chicken coop at the time, and so I caught them that night when I went over to the house. Next morning, they come over. I'm over there killing roosters. He's like, "I didn't think you'd actually kill them." I said, "Well, what else did you want me to do?"
What else are you gonna do with them? Oh, we had one. He's still in the taxidermy freezer. I want to get him mounted. I want to get him mounted like the Mexican fighting rooster with like the wings out and the claws out. He was an asshole, but he was a great rooster. Like, you've seen videos of my property now. Like, we have a large open property that it's like you need a rooster on.
Yeah.
But my wife refused to do chores. Like, she had the golf club's still there. She had a golf club at the door to like beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
And there was one day I was out doing rabbits and I felt him hit my back leg. And I'm pretty sure he drew blood. I was like, I don't know whatever spidey sense it was, but I like heard his feet coming at me like again or something. And I had cowboy boots on and I just stuck my boot back, kicked back, and just nailed this thing right in the face. And I turned to see it just in the air. I'm like, just the connection. That was like, I don't feel bad about that at all. I was like, screw you.
Don't worry about it, Tyler. We see that you're having issues with the power down there.
No, I mean, you said you had a generator. You said you were going to be here.
Yeah.
You're 32.
No excuses.
You're 33 minutes late. I put a GIF in there talking about your dedication to this, and you made me look like an asshole. I'm just kidding, Tyler. It's good to have you here. So what's your next moves in butchering? Like, what's your main goal past everything? Like, what do you really want to learn? Like, do you have a bucket list animal? Because, like, I know we all do. Of like, I really want to cut this up one day.
I don't know. I think it would be neat to cut up like a moose or a bison, something that's just like obnoxiously large, and just to see the size of it and the uniqueness of it. But other than that, the only thing that I really pursue in learning is learning all the products that you could possibly make out of everything. Coming up with my own recipes, I would find that to be more interesting. Yeah.
So with that culinary side, you probably have like, are you doing all the curing and all that stuff too?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yep. I do all the different mixing, cures. So if they want to try something different, they come to me and get my opinion on it and what route to go with it. And that's where I excel at.
That's awesome. Yeah, Tyler, I am Evergreen Farms. I am dedicated. Couldn't get the damn dog in the house when I was out checking the animals. Well, we're glad you're here. Yeah, no, I want to get into that so badly. Like, and I just don't have the willpower at this point in time. All like the dry cured stuff. We got some bacon that we need to start pulling out and get in the smokehouse come here in the next couple weeks. So I'm dipping my toe in slowly.
Yeah, I'm hoping our smokehouse comes in here pretty quick so I can start playing around with it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have bacon again. We're running low in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to I think what I'm going to do is buy a case of bacons and maybe try to pick up a couple hams or something, maybe shoulders, something to play around with the cure for smoking like hams, larger chunks of meat. And then the bacons, I'm debating on how to do them. I really like doing the dry rub method. I just do like put them in a vacuum seal bag, flip them every day, but that's time consuming for one. having each bacon individual, flipping it every day.
Yeah.
But you do get a really nice product.
See, that's the way I'm going. I'm transitioning to that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we're in the USDA shop. We use the vacuum tumbler,
right,
quick and easy. Which most large places, I'd assume, I'm not going to speak for every butcher shop because I haven't been in a lot of them, use a vacuum tumbler just because it's a time saver. When you're doing big batches of hams and bacons, you can't have someone dedicated every day to go in the cooler and have a whole pallet rack of just bacons you flip. But on a small scale like I'm on for the 2-4 pigs I might do a week,
right.
It won't be that bad. I come in the morning when I do my setup, flip them. That's what I'm hoping to do anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it works out when I start playing around with it, but got to get the smokehouse here first.
It's kind of important. I'm getting a new firebox built for mine just because I had that small little wood stove and it just wasn't putting off enough. So I'm just
putting out enough smoke. That thing, how big is that? It looked pretty big. I was checking it out in the one slaughter video you did.
It's like, I think it's 6x7. Like it's a big smokehouse. It's gonna fall through that trailer at some point.
You should take one of your pigs this year and just put the whole freaking thing in there and smoke it.
Might as well
cure it and smoke it.
The next one that decides to go under the fence, becoming whole pig bacon.
That next one that goes underneath the fence is going to be Nino, and you're going to be like, nope, sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah. I do need to get him. That's what sucks. I need to get a new pen built for him. I think I said it in one of my last videos I put out, and I'm just going to throw it together, and it's going to look like shit, and it's going to piss me off every time I look at it.
My pens that I threw together, the breeder pigs tore the gate off, and they're in fighting with the feeder pigs now. I seen it like right before I came back down here tonight. I took hay up to bed the houses, and I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity tonight to fight with these things, trying to get them where they're supposed to be. So when I feed them tomorrow, they'll naturally separate themselves out. I'll fix the gate, and it is what it is.
Yeah, we were supposed to get our boar today, and then, of course, it's New Hampshire in January, so all we've gotten is rain and snow. So that didn't happen today. But we did find a new boar, and he will be coming on Monday. But Tally is in, like, the peak of heat. Like, I did a video short about it the other day. It's like I put her in standing heat in a matter of 30 seconds and just stood there. But
that sucks because now you got to wait 3 weeks for her to come back in. But at least she's aggressive in her heat cycle, and you can track it.
Right.
So now in 21 days from that time, you can keep an eye on her and be like, okay, she's coming into heat. I seen him breed her, put it on the calendar, because we're both horrible about.
Well, horrible, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I have it on my calendar. I just don't have the day that she's supposed to be.
120 days later, you didn't count.
I counted. I just never put it in the calendar.
Well, that's good. That's helpful. That's helpful.
Yeah. It's like, man, she's looking like she's starting to bag up. And I'm like, oh, crap. Now I got to get pens built. I have to do this. I need to get them down here. Now I got to figure out how to get them down here. And
you rush around for 3 days, and then it doesn't happen for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, hasn't progressed at all. But at least they're in the barn, in a stall. They've got the heat. I've got a couple of heat lamps now. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. That's the best case scenario.
I probably looked like a psychopath the first farrowing in that Telegram group. Because for like 2 days when I thought she was going to farrow, I just sat outside until like midnight, just smoking cigarettes, just like, it's going to happen. I'm going to catch it. Because it was at the beginning of the channel too. And I was like, I'm going to catch this.
You think after having 2 kids already, you wouldn't be so worried about it.
Yeah, I know. I was as excited for those piglets to be born as my kids at that point in time.
I don't think I would ever say that.
It's fine. My wife doesn't watch this.
No, but your kids might someday. Wait, your daughters will be like 16 years old and be like, really, Dad? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What money have you made me, kid? Nothing.
Yeah. Get out there and keep working. We'll talk about it in 2 more years.
Yeah. Tyler from Evergreen Farm says, I was waiting at least 2 weeks. Rookie. So what else we got? So, what do we got, boys? 40 minutes in, we hit a wall.
Bullshit.
It's the bullshit. So, Josh, what are some wildly embarrassing stories that Joe probably doesn't want on the internet?
I don't know if I know anything that's going to be overly embarrassing.
Oh, you are such a nerd, Joe. Yep. I was hoping that he was going to come on and it's going to be like, let's take Golden Boy down a pig.
I'm cool with sharing stupid stories of stuff that we did.
The only good ones that I got is when he goes into a blind rampage and starts murdering all of his animals around the property.
That's fun. Listen, I can't fault him for that.
Usually I'd be in my tiny house, and I hear the gun go off more than 3 times. I know that something's getting murdered out there. Like, I need to go outside. I need to watch this.
That one's out of spite.
I think the last thing I did that to was those American breast chickens. Those freaking things would not stay in. I got them all caught. I'm like, all right, tomorrow's kill day. I came out. There wasn't a single one in the chicken coop. Somehow they found a hole, and they all got out. I said, screw this, I'm done. 22 out there, and I was just laying. I think I shot 30 chickens that day. I was just laying them out. Neighbors had to be, they were like, what the hell is going on? I'd wait for one, and they knew. They were hiding in the weeds, and I was hunting them down. I think I had a little too much fun with that one, but at the same time, they needed to go, and I was limited on amount of time that I had. That was just because I had to get it done. That wasn't more. The last ones that I really got irritated with, we had 2 geese that my friend Austin dropped off, and he loves doing it to me. He'll go and he'll get stuff and he drops it off to me, and he's like, he just showed up one day. He goes, hey, so-and-so had these geese at their place. I thought they'd look good in your pond, and then they're just geese running loose. Before I could even say I don't want geese, and they were attacking our kids and stuff. In the last straw, I was doing the garden. I had some seeds that I started, and I was proud of these seeds. Like, me and McKinley spent a lot of time starting seeds, and I'm all happy and proud. Started all my stuff from seeds this year. We got them planted in the garden. Geese went through and ripped everything out, and now I'm getting mad. So I planted the stuff that was salvageable, replanted it, went to the Amish to replace the rest of it, and I spent like $100 on plants, to finish out the garden and stuff to replace it. What the geese. I no more than came inside, get a drink of water, and I look out, and they're pulling my onion sets up. They're just walking down through, plucking them out, not eating them or nothing.
Yeah.
And so I chased them out, and I come back inside, and I told Danae, I said, those geese, one more time they step foot in that garden, they're dead. Well, I come back in, sit down, I look out there. I grabbed the 22 mag rifle, leaned right out the front door, dropped one in the garden, went to the back door. The other one hit the pond, dropped that one in the pond. And at first, I was pretty mad. I'm like, I'm not butchering them or nothing. They can just rot for all I care. I ended up butchering them. I couldn't let it go to waste, but I was so mad at those things.
Yeah, that's a fun point in time. No one likes to talk about because it makes you look like a psychopath. I've done it. Listen, no, I'm not judging whatsoever. I'm just explaining to you what other people look at us like. When it's
that's good. I'm fine with that.
I always laugh because my neighbors are the shit. So I'll drop a cow or something or a pig or something, and I'll see them later in the day. They're like, "How's work today?" Like, it's because I'm literally in my driveway just shooting cows and trailers, and they're sitting there drinking their morning coffee. Like, they've yelled before. Like, in the middle of summer, they're out on the porch, bang! There was one day they played on a Bluetooth speaker, another one bites the dust from across the road. I was like, that's amazing.
You're over there just jamming out to it as you're sticking it, Yeah.
Well, he sets himself up to go all crazy on these animals because every time he goes somewhere to buy animals, for some reason he can't say no to more animals that they're trying to give him. He'll be going to trying to get a couple of goats, and he decides to grab ducks and bring them with him too.
Yeah, I
think I told you that story.
And then they shit all over someone's vehicle.
Yeah, so I didn't have a big enough vehicle, so I talked Josh. He went with me. I said, let's take your Durango up. I'm going to get these. When we first bought that property with the trailer, I was like, I'm in it. I already had chickens in our apartment basement. I'm going for it. And he's the one that actually talked me into self-reliance and stuff like that. I've always been into farming. Right. I've always wanted to have a farm. But he's the one, he started living with us and stuff when we were in our apartment, and we just, at night he'd come home or whatever, and we'd start talking about self-sufficiency and all the crazy things happening in the world. So he got me going, gung ho. As soon as we signed on that property, I went to Tractor Supply, bought some chicks, had them in the basement of our apartment. As soon as we moved in, I talked him into going to get these goats, and I took a dog kennel, and they were Nigerian dwarfs, and they had a couple extra. So I was like, yeah, I'll take them. Well, they weren't all going to fit in the dog kennel. So I was like, let's just put the tarp down in the back. We'll set the goats in there. And she goes, we were telling her we had a pond.
Let's put the tarp down in the back.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, you guys have a pond? You want some ducks? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. They're cheap enough. So we put those in the dog kennel and put them in the back seat. And it's like an hour and a half ride home. They shit all over his door. And he's madder than hell. His face is beet red. And I'm laughing. And
of course, you're not even home yet. So it's not like you can handle the situation. You just have to accept the fact there's going to be more shit.
Yeah, the whole ride home, they're just shitting and shitting and shitting. And he's getting madder and madder. He's like, I'm never letting you use my vehicle again. And I'm just laughing. I think it's hilarious. And he was getting mad. Finally, we get him unloaded. I turn the ducks loose out at the pond. And so we go to get the goats. To make matters even worse, the goats pulled the tarp back and shit and pissed all over it. And it's not like a washable. It's all cloth or carpet in the back. Oh, man. He flipped. He and I'm laughing, and he's like, never, ever again. I will let you use one of my vehicles.
It's a good point of bringing up the self-reliance living, because that's really how I got into the butchering aspect of it more too. Is I really hated animals before then, but I had gotten into the topic of researching food and food companies and whatnot while I was at the restaurant, and I just uncovered this whole spiel about Monsanto and just how basically a chemical company, their number one product is Roundup, and they're in huge control of our food system. Oh, yeah. And I was like, we have a chemical company in control of our food system. And that just sounds insane to me. And then if you just track it down and all these just unhealthiness of Americans, and we wonder why, because our food system was so fucked up. So that's what kind of driven us to more that self-reliance and growing stuff for ourselves and raising stuff for ourselves.
Yeah. No,
it just works out for us because I enjoy the animals and stuff. He enjoys the gardening. Once we get everything in sync, I've got a boatload of manure for him this year now that I have it composted down, being my second year on the property. So we got to haul that over sometime and get it on the gardens. And so it works out in both of our favors. He has something he enjoys, and it works out for me because I enjoy the gardening. I don't have the time, and I'm not as good as it. He knows his stuff when it comes to the gardening. He knows, the planting times and the harvesting times, and they're more into the canning. I'd like to get into canning. It's just having the time. I don't have the time to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I would have to argue that it's definitely harder to raise a garden than it is to raise an animal. You have to go out there and baby the shit out of a garden every single day. You see the slightest of disease or something coming on, then it's a battle right through.
But I'll argue it the other way, where I know I can walk away from that garden. It's going to be there tomorrow. You walk away from the animals for a week,
they're not going to be there tomorrow.
Have a bunch of dead animals, or they're going to be loose tearing up stuff. So
yeah, it is different. I always say it's my ADD, ADHD. I need to be raising something that is one, running to me or from me, or could possibly kill me. I need just the full stimulation of all of it to make it worth my while. I've tried to garden so many times, and by the middle of summer, the smallest inconvenience of, I can't put the garden sprinkler on right now because I'm filling pig water. And then the garden doesn't get watered ever again. It's just completely out of the routine. I don't care about it anymore. I don't know. It's bad.
But yeah, and for me too, the way I look at it is, I know I've done the carnivore diet. I know I can sustain myself with the meat that I raise.
Right.
Me personally, not, the kids are a little bit harder. It'd be tough to get kids on that diet unless you're really strict about it. But me personally, like, I know I can sustain myself on meat alone. My body will not sustain itself on vegetables alone. I know I couldn't do it. I have to have the protein because otherwise I crash.
Well,
Like
it's
when
funny. I literally just had this conversation with my mom. Mom, if you listen to this, I love you. But like they've started buying pork from us.
Yeah.
And they're like, you've ruined food for us because this is the greatest pork we've ever had. And like I was talking to her today and she's like, I know you probably know everything I'm about to tell you, but like I'm just realizing this and I just want to voice it to you. And like she's apparently watching like this food show on Netflix or something and talking about like, did you know the conditions they raise some animals in? Like, did you know this? Like, do you know what they're actually putting in our food? I'm like, yes, Mom. I live in a town of 1,200 people surrounded by pigs. Yes, I am aware of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it is nice to see. Like, I had a proud moment. I'm like, "Aw, Ma." She's like, "Well, if you could find me someone to buy like a half a cow off of and some chicken, like let me know." I'm like, "Look at you, look at you."
That's where my goal now with the butcher shop. We had talked, I think last week. I'm starting up a customer and a farmer list. I had one guy make a comment to me that, oh, you're just doing that to get the business. Yeah, it's going to generate more business for me, of course. But I've got farmers on my list that they take their animals to a USDA processor, and I'm fine with that. I'm looking at it more. I'm doing the legwork to build a good customer base for our future and other local farms' futures. And I'm so passionate about connecting people with local grown food sources. Like even when we were talking last week about the guy that I got into wasn't even an argument, a debate on being vegan versus eating meat or not eating meat and how it's not healthy for you or whatever. Like I told him, I said, that's fine. That's your choice, but source it local. Get it from a local farm. Don't go to Tops or Giant or Wegmans or whatever your local grocery store is if you can help it. Find a local source and get your food from there. No, like I've been listening to a lot of Joe Salatin lately, with all the podcasts that I've been listening to, and I agree. Know your farmer, know where your food comes from, and know how they grow things. Because not every farmer is going to be holistic, organic. There's going to be farmers that are doing the market gardens and the big vegetable gardens and stuff that are selling in a small stand that still spray herbicides and pesticides. That's the research on your part you need to do. But same thing with people with the meat. Like I have an array of people already that are looking for grain finished beef because that's what they're used to. That's what they enjoy. That's fine. That's their choice. And I have people looking for grass-fed beef and grass-fed lamb and just regular lamb, and pastured chicken is, getting bigger. And I've had a couple people reach out about rabbit. And that's the thing I'm looking forward to is I want to educate people on it. And I want to build that customer base in our area. And once I get it figured out and get a basic outline, I would be more than happy to help other processors, small processors that see a need with their customer bases on helping them start one themselves too, because we need to make the local food movement nationwide, but global too.
Well, the other thing is it's like the guy being like, because I get this all the time too with some of the YouTube stuff and everything like that. It's like, oh, you're just trying to get the business. And it's like, why is that a bad thing? Like,
you got to get business.
Since when is hustling a bad thing? Like, and again, hustle not in a bad sense, but it's like, no, I'm putting in extra work to try to connect people to have healthier homegrown food by people in our area that we know and care about.
Yeah.
Why is that bad? That at the end of it, they go, hey, thanks for setting all this up. Let me schedule a date with you because that just makes life easier.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that makes complete sense. That's actually, I don't know, marketing.
And that's my number one goal. Yes. Do I get more business that way? I hope so. I haven't yet, but it's going to transition into, I've got a farmer right down the road. He's like, I got a heifer that's ready to go, but I don't have anyone to buy it. So I'm working on connecting enough people to buy the whole cow off of him in quarters or halves, whatever they want. He does quality. It's grass fed with, he does a little bit of silage, but he doesn't do any other grain than that. But that's the two that I'm butchering right now, and they're marbled really nice. I sent you pictures of the one of our other neighbor that grain finished their steer at a ridiculous amount, and that thing turned out awesome.
Yeah.
A little bit more fat than I personally like. Like, I enjoy grass fed. I like grain finish, don't get me wrong. But now that I learned how to cook a grass fed steak,
it's different.
It is different. And now the more research I do on it, I see the benefits from having the grass fed meat versus grain fed and, omega-3s and everything else you're getting. But that's what I'm trying to figure out is how do I keep my herd grass fed, but finish in our colder climate? It does take longer. Like, I'm coming to the realization I have to wait till that second, spring, because I've always in the mindset of butchering for grain finished. They're finished in 16, 18 months, 20 months if they're, so. And that's where I've been with my last couple steers is 18 months, but I'm not happy with the finish on them. Like, they tasted good. They just don't have the fat that I want on them.
Yeah.
So now I'm starting to do a lot more research. And I think this year, the steer that I have, I was going to process him this winter, but I think I'm going to hold him until spring and finish him on that spring flush of really nice grass and see how he does.
Yeah.
It's all, play with what works for you type game. And we've talked about it a million times in our colder climates. It's tough to finish larger animals, even pigs in the winter. You're raising pigs right now. I'm sure you're going through more feed than you did with your Hereford pigs.
Sure did.
And that you raise over the summer. So,
Josh, do you have this much anguish with your cucumbers?
No, not really. I have to go after that damn cucumber beetle, though. That son of a bitch, he was getting me last year.
Well, boys, we're coming up on an hour. Josh, if you have anything to plug, feel free. I know Joe said you don't do much with the social media stuff, so we do appreciate you.
He's not on anything.
I'm pretty antisocial for the most part.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, that's why everybody's like, because I'm the same way, and like you guys tried to get me to get TikTok and stuff like that, and I'm still.
We're gonna get.
I know I can gain a lot with the YouTube channel and stuff from it. I'm not over that hump yet of being comfortable with it. I still have yet to sign in there, although I do enjoy all these TikTok videos that my wife shows me and other people have sent me. I think they're funny, and it's just I know if I get on there, I'm going to be like 2 hours in and be like,
just a time suck.
Oh shit! I better get to work. Like I have stuff I got to do now, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I might get there someday.
Your legs fall asleep while you're taking a shit because you're just like. My problem is I'm editing. Like that's the only time I have to do anything because I'm not like around my wife or kids. And it's like I got to edit this video real quick, and all of a sudden my legs are asleep. I'm walking out like a pirate.
6.3. I was trying to see what Rachel had put. It looked like 63 pounds from a distance. I'm like, holy crap.
Yes, Rachel has been prepping for this. Yeah, Rachel's been prepping for this lard for a while. So we will all be waiting patiently in the Telegram group.
Yeah.
To see how that goes. And
let us know. I'm thinking about now that I have access to plenty of lard, I'm thinking about just doing it because I want to switch over from using,
I handed out like
start using more natural stuff.
I handed out like I'm handing stuff candy to trick or treaters. My buddy just came and picked up his pig, and I'm like, oh, here's a 5-pound bag of bear fat. Oh, by the way, here's another 5-pound bag of ground pork fat. Have fun.
You did some beef or bear lard, right? And
I'm doing some more coming up. So
that was pretty neat. How does that taste? Like, I haven't had a lot of bear.
It's a bit strong. It's not for everyone. My wife hates it when I cook with it.
Now, was that a boar hog or a sow?
I pull it off of everything.
Yeah.
Like, I just pull it all in and then just render it at the end of the season. Because no one takes it. Like, and I'm like, I can't throw this away. Like, there's just something about it. It's like, this is a 200-pound sow with a 3-inch fat cap, I'm not throwing this away. This is fucking gold.
Well, that's where I'm at with some of the pig lard.
Yeah.
I was tossing some of it, and I make sure I ask everybody, do you want your leaf lard? And if they don't, I'm going to start asking them, do you care if I keep it and render it down for my own use?
That is the biggest thing, is to out front go, do you mind if I keep this and I use it for my own personal use?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to just take people's stuff, because that's when you get into the issue.
That's where it gets dicey.
They're taking my stuff. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. It's the biggest pet peeve when people come to me and say, so-and-so's stealing our meat. I hate it because it's on. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I don't know. I've only worked in one other butcher shop and own my own. I'm not that type of person. I'm never going to steal someone's meat.
Hey, Joe.
But
Joe, it happens.
I'm sure it does.
I've worked the place that it sucks.
I haven't I haven't experienced that myself, and I hate when people say that, because as a farmer, do your homework. If you think this shop is stealing your meat, and I understand some people don't, they're trying to sell individual cuts and they're limited on USDA facilities. I get it. Try to get 2 or 3 other places, or even 3 shops. This is what I've been telling people. Raise 3 similar animals. Nothing's going to be dead set.
Right.
And have them cut in similar ways, depending on what happens in the shop, how that shop cuts it. Most shops should have the basics, T-bone, porterhouse, your pork chops or whatever. Have them cut the same thickness and see what those animals are yielding in that weight range.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, this guy's 3 packs of steaks are consistently shorter than these other 2 places. Then
don't go to that guy.
Don't go back. And it sucks, especially if it is a USDA kill, because I think we have 3 that are semi-local and they're not close by to our area. Like the closest one's an hour and 20 minutes or hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Go an hour and a half the other way now, in hopes that they don't do it to you too. So,
and it's also, you just deal with the people that don't know how anatomy works. They look at the cut sheet and they're like, I don't understand. My grass-fed Jersey was hanging at 425 pounds. Why didn't I have 425 pounds of meat to pick up?
Yeah.
That's all in,
because you raised a grass-fed Jersey. And 2, it was 12 months old.
And
there's never from me. I know.
Never-ending list
brings this up again. Kyle is sitting in the just perfect for his longhorns on his head. I want to let everyone know. It was 10 minutes. 10 minutes of sitting, positioning to make this right. This is on purpose. This wasn't just a perfect accident. This was 10 minutes of my time I'll never get back.
It's always educational.
It is.
You never can stop educating, because no matter how much you pound it in people's head, and it's even worse when you get the same people doing it over and over and over again. It's like you just want to bang your head against the wall, but what do? Lose the customer because you get irritated with it, or just repeat yourself over and over again?
Yes, you lose the customer. That's what you do. You fire the customer.
I can't even deal with you right now.
Yeah, no, you have to do that sometimes. There are moments where it sucks. Where
Hell,
it's like
being a chef, I probably put a notation on their bill saying that I probably tested their meat at some point. So if you're missing a steak, lunch was on you that day.
Right.
Yeah. But that guy, the farmer down the road, actually, he asked me for that smaller cow. He said, can you take a steak off of her and try it before you cut it up and make sure she's edible? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll have steak for lunch one day. But he asked me to do that for him.
Right. That's
to
different.
Make sure it was edible. So
yeah, I'm never keeping anything that's not like it's fat or it's bones or it's something a lot like basically that. That's the only thing I'll keep off an animal that's not mine. Because it's like, this is just going to compost anyway. So all right, Joe, we're up over an hour here. Where can everyone find you?
Same as usual, Blakeslee Acres on YouTube, Blakeslee Acres on Facebook, and here weekly now on Meet the Critters.
Yeah, and I want to let everyone know, once we start getting some more subscribers and things like that, like, and we start getting paid for this, like, we can buy Joe a step stool so we can be similar heights. And that
I'm not getting a step stool. I'm getting shoes that lift me up to the proper height.
Yes. Perfect.
I don't want to carry a step stool around. It's just as easy to put the boots on my feet.
Or just stilts. Like, we'll just get you stilts.
That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. I cannot afford to break a bone.
I know, but it'd be so funny.
It would be funny.
It would be
Maybe
so
some
funny.
I only need like 6-8 inch stilts. That might not be too bad.
You only need 6 or 8 inches? Might get it. So anyway.
daily struggles here.
All right. So you can find me everywhere at Backwoods Butcher 603. So that is YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You can also follow my shop page on Facebook. All the links to these are down in the description. On Facebook, it is The Body Shop, Custom Butchery, and Euro Taxidermy, because I cannot figure out how to change the name on Facebook. So that's still what it is. Still get calls for it. Sucks. Also, if you have any questions for me or Joe and you have Telegram, you can go over and join the Critter Crew. That is our Telegram group we have in there. I think we have like 25 people in there.
Yep.
And basically we just talk about meat and livestock. And that we've got a good group of people in there that if you have a question about it, you can drop it in there. And the majority of the time you will get an answer or a direction to an answer. So Again, all of those links for both me and Joe are in the description. So please like, subscribe to our channels and this video. And Josh, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
We will see all of you guys next time.